And we are back with live from Tef's Tavern. It's me again, Big Mike, with Andy.
Oh, yep.
And thanks for listening, everybody. It's been a fun little trip so far. We're here on episode 4.
That's a
And
lot.
yeah, that's farther than I ever expected us to get. So,
Far more than originally planned.
absolutely. The fact that you're still listening to this makes our day. It's a little blessing. So, thank
It's
you.
cool.
So, what have you been up to this week, Andy?
Um, Not too much really interesting. I've had some good news in the sense that I've got the go ahead to have some building work done.
Oh,
So I've got the go ahead to get a wet room built.
okay.
So that'll be completely flat for me to go in and have a shower.
Oh,
A stair lift put in,
outstanding.
and a funny ramp thing out the front door
Hmm.
because we're like for wheelchair access and whatnot. So it'd be like kind of having a theme park in my house. You'll
Outstanding,
be able to
yeah.
sort of, yeah, get on the stair lift at the bottom, go all the way up to the top, then into the splash room.
Right.
So that'd be quite,
When those little signs
so
up
that'd be quite
on the
fun.
staircase, it'll say, "Caution, you may get wet."
Yeah, and like sell little ponchos at the bottom.
They're starting right, man. Start making some money off this rig.
So that's been the most exciting thing, really.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
Well, for us, it was a pretty awesome week in some regards. In fact, we had the fourth this week, which
Oh
was
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
good old middle finger to the UK week, and
yeah, yeah. Freedom from me.
freedom from Andy. And so we unfortunately though here in Colorado, a good 40% of the state's on fire. So we had one of the worst dry years of our
That's
30
nuts.
to 35 year drought we're in.
Yeah.
And
What temperature are you at the minute?
oh goodness, right now it's like 80 degrees, and the sun's
Okay.
not all the way up yet. So it's going to
Okay.
be another scorcher.
Yeah, I
We've been
mean we're at like,
averaging 95 to 100.
geez, we're at 28C
Wow.
as of, which is a lot
Yeah, we were
for us.
at, what was it the other day? I looked at it. It was like 45, 46 C.
Jeez, man.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So those
So you had
those
a load of fireworks and stuff then.
we actually for the first time in a long time that I can remember, we didn't even have booths set up in town selling them, which is a
Really?
rarity because it was just there was such a fire restriction on that. Right now they've amended the smoking laws that if you're caught throwing a cigarette out your window, there's $1,000 fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
well, unfortunately, people still aren't following it, and there's been a lot of campfires that have gotten out of control, and this,
That's
that, and the
just
other thing.
crazy.
And the end of that story for us though is that my dad, who's been a firefighter for 36 years now, he
Uh-huh.
got called out to a fire in the northern part of the state that is currently running about 97,000 acres wide.
Whoa.
Yeah, they're having just a real hell of a time getting any sort of a handhold on that one. There, 0% containment is what they call it.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I
they
can't even comprehend that.
that's too big. It's one of those numbers that
Yeah.
surpasses reasoning and thought. So
Yeah.
so unfortunately, the plan to barbecue at his place got changed up a little bit, and instead we still went over to my mom's house because they've built a above ground pool for the kids to play in, and I grilled up some burgers and hot dogs and listened to podcasts instead of dad doing it, and I only burned him a little bit, so it wasn't so
Just a
bad.
little.
And then we went off and we were able to still see the local fireworks. The fire
Right.
department put on a good show and didn't burn anything down. So thankfully that was still pretty nice.
Well, you'd hope not with them, wouldn't you?
You'd hope. You'd hope.
You,
You
you,
wonder with some of these guys though, because they choose this as an occupation to become firefighters for one of two reasons. Either they're a little lost upstairs and they don't
yeah.
mind the idea of running into a burning building, or they're a little lost upstairs and they love fire a little too
Yeah.
much. Like
Yeah.
start telling my dad that you see smoke in the sky and his eyes light up like it's Christmas. So
Yeah. It's like, ooh.
so pyromaniacs have an option for a career that could actually end up being positive, I suppose.
It's a good outlet for them, isn't
Um,
it?
and on
It's pretty cool.
the nerd front has been a pretty cool jump though.
Mhm.
we got into a Call of Cthulhu group that I'll actually touch on a little bit more later. It's kind of neat because I've
Cool.
never played that system before. And you and myself, for anyone listening, is probably also following the channel, my YouTube channel, that we've been able to get in a game or two of actual Warhammer 40K.
We have, yeah.
And that's been really cool. It's just thanks to the guys over at VassalEngine.com, because their little Vassal Engine tool has really simplified the idea of connecting with someone online and
Yeah.
playing a tabletop war game, because that's been great. I'm thoroughly engrossed in that. If you see our blog, I'm going to be posting up some army lists either today or tomorrow, showing just what's been capable on there.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is it looks really basic, but it's got that cleanness to it.
Yeah,
You kind of, and we're still working our way around it.
yeah.
Anyone that goes to watch the first one will be highly amused,
I'm
and then
sure.
the second one still be highly amused, but we are getting better.
Yeah,
I mean, what 500-point armies, wasn't it?
yeah. And we the first one was, well, it was just 2 squads, wasn't it? It wasn't even
Yeah.
no leadership or HQs or anything.
No, it's just like, how do we move them and
And
work everything?
take shots at each other. And then the second one was actually a little bit of variety and some leadership and whatnot. And I think our
Yep.
next one will actually work in a scenario with some victory points and whatnot. And slowly but surely, our little brains will work into what could be the real version of 8th edition Warhammer.
Yeah, or not.
Or not. We might just
But
decide to say hell with it, just have fun.
but the thing is that he's when you squeal like a little child when we figured out when you press the kill button that it just splats them.
Oh, that made my day. Yeah, in this game, you right click, and the one of the options is kill unit, because maybe they've lost all their health or whatever.
Mhm.
And when you click it, it doesn't just delete the unit; it replaces them with a squib of just a smear of red mess.
Sauce. Yeah,
And it
but
did. It just tickled me
it's
pink.
fun. I mean, the thing is you'd wanted to play for years, hadn't you? Really?
I really have. Ever since Games Workshop was involved in a little shop here in Little Montrose, Colorado, called Hobbytown, USA. And
Uh-huh.
that's actually where I got a good majority of my D&D and Magic cards growing up. And they had a section of Warhammer 40K that was probably 4th or 5th edition at the time. And
Yeah.
it was all pewter miniatures.
Yeah, yeah.
That was so fun, so cool. And
Yeah.
I never played, but I bought quite a few individual little units, and I don't think I ever even built them. I don't have any of them anymore. I didn't build them. I know I didn't paint them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
They were cool at the time. Really hard to build and keep together.
I can't
Uh,
imagine. Well, yeah, because I've built some of the plastic and the resin figures now, and even with glue that's specifically designed to hold plastic together, that's tough sometimes. I can't imagine
yeah.
gluing metal together.
Because I'd use, that stuff, that green stuff, what they call it, where you mix it blue and whatever yellow
Yellow.
together, and it makes that green resin, epoxy resin thing.
Right, right.
So I'd use that and super glue to glue like a dreadnought's arm together, and then it glued to my thumb and my forefinger.
That's the absolute best. When you're trying to glue,
Yeah.
you're sitting there and you're holding you've got your arms braced against the table, and
Yeah,
you're not
and you
breathing,
think you've hit that point.
and you feel it fit just right, and
Yeah,
you're holding
yeah.
it, you're holding it, and you're holding it, because it takes a good 20 to 30 seconds for the glue to start to set up,
Yeah.
and you're just praying that when you let go with your right fingers, that the unit's going to
Yeah.
let go as well, because I don't know how many times I've been trying to glue a spear or a halberd onto my Grey Knights, and
Yeah.
you go to let go, and it's glued to my thumb.
Yeah, it is. It's like you say. It's exactly right. You're waiting for that second that you're convinced it's taken and adhered to it. Um, it's like it's good fun, and it gives us a chance to play. I can't get out much now either,
Right.
and my painting is limited. Like I said, with using the Pathfinder miniatures pawns.
Yeah.
So that's serving that purpose, and this is doing really good from my point of view for a miniatures game, because I'm not getting out much.
Sure.
although I'm really local to a lot of places. Whereas this, we can just, couple of minutes now and we're actually up and running, which is
Kind of
a
incredible.
miracle.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty big.
So that's good. I mean, I have been looking to kind of think, well, how would you go about starting again
Well, yeah.
and working in? I mean, the main thing on like GW site is they've got for 40k anyway. Three boxes. They've got the what would be £95 here, Dark Imperium box, which gives you something like about 53 miniatures, and you do get the hardback rule book in that as well.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty cool.
No,
And
that's
then
phenomenal.
they drop down to like £50, which is the No Fear box, which I think is pretty much the same as a few minis less, and you don't get the hardback book. And then there's what is probably the best one, I would think, if you've never ever played and you were interested, is there's a £25 one called First Strike.
I'm seeing that. Yes.
Yeah, and that gives you a couple of units of the Primaris Marines and some Death Guard. But
So,
what it also gives you as well is like a playmat, a bit of scenery, dice ruler, and more importantly, the core rules.
yeah.
So I think it all depends on what you want. If you've never played anything, £25 you can't go wrong, because even if you dislike the armies, you've learned how to play, and you kind of go, oh, this is okay, but I don't like these armies, but I've got the rule book now,
Yeah.
and off you go and explore. Buy one of the starter boxes for whatever army you like, which is normally about £50.
Because, yeah, I'm seeing that here as well. And it's the Start Collecting Warhammer 40,000. There's 22 items available. And,
Uh-huh.
yeah, for $85 American, you've got yourself a nice little box of Space Marines or Tau, or they've got Demons of
Yeah.
Slanesh here. There's a really good selection of good little starters.
So how much is First Strike in dollars then, Mike?
Let's go up here and take a look.
Because that would be interesting.
So yeah, Dark Imperium, I see that here as well. That's a $160 box. They've got No
Yeah.
Fear, and that's an $80 box. And then there's
Uh-huh.
First Strike, that's the $40 box.
Yeah. So that's good. And then you see that's actually on GW site, that pricing.
Right.
Over here, I don't know what it's like with some of, but I would imagine if you go to a lot of online stores, you'll at least get 25% off that.
No kidding.
Yeah, I don't know whether the stores do it your side of the pond, but certainly here, nobody really, unless you go into a GW store, will pay full price for it.
Oh wow. See, at least my local store, they do pay the recommended pricing, so you're going to see at least very similar prices online as what you're going to, or on Game Workshop site as you're going to see in their shelves. But I have seen situations on Amazon and similar sites where, yeah, you're
Yes.
going to save
Yeah.
some money. And I'm
Yeah.
looking into this First Strike box, and this is no joke. These are
It's all right.
Ultramarines versus
Death Guard.
Death Guard. Yeah, they look like they're Nurgle Plague Marines.
Yeah, and they're easy to build ones as well. They're basically, if you wanted to, you don't even need to glue them. They just push fit.
Wow.
But if you look at the detail on them, it's insane.
I can't believe the
For
amount
push
of
fit.
detail that goes into these models. It's insane. Like, I'm looking at, I'm not even sure what this unit's name is, but it's a chubby guy with his gut hanging out and
Yeah, I'm
this
looking at
big
that right now.
spike hanging out of his head.
Yeah,
And
that,
he's got little latches on his pockets.
yeah.
Why does
I
he
mean,
doesn't need that? That's way too detailed, but it's great.
and they're push fit, hard plastic.
That's crazy.
So you could basically get the box, push them together,
And play.
learn how to play, and then decide where you want to go.
And
Which is a
what
good thing. Like,
I'm also noticing here is not just a rule book are they including, but there's a quick start
Yeah.
one page
Yeah.
sheet to get you going,
yeah,
and then learn the real stuff afterwards.
yep.
That's
Which is
really
always
cool.
the best.
Because yeah, like
So
I said in a previous episode, I when I wanted to get into it, we went out and I bought the $100 core books, and
yeah,
honestly, if I'm remembering properly, that doesn't even cover any armies. That was
No,
just the
it doesn't.
rules
You would
and
need,
fluff.
yeah, you'd need to go and buy your army's codex,
Yep.
which would have been £30 over here,
Yep. 45 here.
and that's you haven't got any models.
No. Yeah, you still don't have a single piece to play with. So that was
Yeah,
another $300 worth of
yeah,
dark elves and gray knights for me and the wife to get started. And we,
yeah.
by the time everything was said and done, we were so overwhelmed with the rules that we never started.
No,
Unfortunately,
it's a lot better now. I think
I think
a
they've done
lot,
a great
a lot
job.
more accessible.
Much more
Um,
access, and the new rule sets a lot more open in that regard as well. Yeah.
yeah, I think so. I think the thing is it depends as well on, say, like, it was me and you, and we lived in the same town, and we both wanted to start, and we knew we wanted to play it.
Right.
The next step, I guess, really is like, do you like the Primaris Marines, and do I like the Death Guard? Because what you could do is just go halves on the box set,
Oh, that makes sense. I hadn't even
and
thought of
then
that.
each of you have that army,
Yep.
or both buy a box set and swap the opposites out to increase the size of your army.
Sure.
And then you've both got a hardback as well. But interestingly as well, what happens is over here is people buy the big Dark Imperium box, and they just make a business out of splitting it and putting it all on eBay.
Oh no.
So right, you could get the hardback rule book for here for £18 delivered probably.
Wow.
If somebody's done that, and by the same token, then you could buy these miniatures out of that box separately to build
Sure.
your army.
Sure.
So on a cheaper note, you could go that route. You know, just go, right, I'm going to buy all these push fits. They're just going to come on sprues through the post, no boxes or anything.
Right.
But there you go. You know, it's going to be a lot cheaper and it's easier to add. But that all depends on whether you want those two forces, I think.
So I would assume then that these all, just like in typical Games Workshop fashion, these are not pre-painted models.
No,
You're
they're
gonna
like
have to
grey
assemble
hard
them.
plastic.
Right.
So the push fits, you'd still need to clip off the sprue and
Yep.
actually push them together.
So
Then they do make more detailed, believe it or not, versions that you would clip off and need to like glue on, say, shoulder pads and things like that.
sure.
Um,
Sure. That's all my Grey Knights were.
yeah, but then once they're grey, then you've got to like prime them and then paint them.
Yep. And thin your paints, guys. Don't forget that. It's like the most important
Two
piece of
two thin
advice.
coats, yeah.
Yeah, thin your paint because thick paint looks silly.
Not like my original Rail Pathers that I said.
I'm telling you, you
Get
buy
that
a
skeleton
can of house paint
in.
and just dunk the unit in.
Yep, dunk it into some like gloss white paint, and that's your skeleton.
Oh
But I
man.
mean, and ultimately, there's nothing stopping you. It's like we said before about RPGs or anything. If you really, really, really want to go cheap, just go and find the old books
Yeah.
on eBay,
Well,
or maybe in a local bookstore. Or we have a lot of charity bookstores here as well.
we have a lot of used bookstores here.
Yeah, and you might just wander in and find like a 5th edition, and you think, you know what, I'm just going to go for this because it's only going to cost me like £2.50 for the rule book.
Exactly. Well, and I
And
just as an experiment while you were saying that, I searched eBay 4th edition 40K,
yeah,
and I click here on ebay.com and $21.
what's that
$5.
for?
Here's $5. Warhammer 40,000 Codex lot. It's got 12 different books here. 12 full
Right.
codexes and 2 rule books to get started with 4th edition Warhammer 40K. That would be perfect.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't mind that, having come from that. I think if I was completely new and maybe younger, that I had no experience with it, because the
Right.
rules are easier now, I'd go for that £25 set.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, but then there's nothing stopping you thinking, well, yeah, I like this tabletop wargaming thing. You don't have to play the current edition. Nobody
No.
says you have to.
That's only really super relevant if you're near a community of people that are already
Yes,
playing the current edition, or
yes,
you're wanting to get into competitive play, because there are a lot of like sanctioned tournaments involved,
there are. Yes,
and
yeah.
I'm sure they always
I
play
mean,
the
I
current.
forgot about that because I tend to think of when I want to start playing is what I can play at home or
Yeah.
my friend's house because I've never been competitive. But you're absolutely right. If you want to go that route, then yeah, you kind of have to bite the bullet a bit. But there are cheaper ways of doing that, like we've just said. Um,
Wow.
you know,
Oh, you've gotten
but
me in some trouble now, Andy. I'm looking at just all of these different lots for sale.
yeah.
Here's a current seller, and I know this is good radio, of a guy selling. It looks like to be about 20 books, and it's all of
Yeah,
the seventh edition codexes, all of them for 12.50.
you are joking.
I'm sure the shipping's going to be ugly, but that's incredible.
Yeah, because people tend to. I mean, I suppose that's the thing. If you go to a local game store, you kind of and everyone's just playing 40k,
Yep.
and you want to try a different game. It's difficult because it's like, well, who's going to play? Um, so you kind of have to maybe go, yeah, I'm going to play current edition 40k because I know there's going to be people that are going to play it.
Yep. Just like if you want to get into Dungeons and Dragons, it makes sense to
Yeah,
learn fifth edition because that's the
yeah,
big guy on the on the block right now.
yeah. But like you said, when you're a bit older, well, I don't even know if it's older, but um, you know, you go basic fantasy.
Oh yeah, and that's been phenomenal. I've loved every
Yeah,
game I've been in.
yeah. So I think that there's a lot of good stuff with 40k and other um, tabletop games that you can get round the initial massive cost of starting. There
Yep.
are ways, and like
And
I say,
and I'm sure that has stopped a lot of people because a lot of other hobbies that you can get into don't have such a high barrier to entry.
no,
And
no.
and then some
I think that's the rub because say like you walked into Games Workshop with your son and you knew nothing about it,
sure.
and he really wanted to start it, and you get the £25 box and that, and you go, yeah, I want the Primaris Marines. And they go, okay, well, you're going to need the Space Marine Codex. Okay,
All right.
we've got the rules in the box, and then how many points are you going to need? So you're going to need like two sort of tactical squads,
Right.
and I think box they go for about 30 £35 each.
That's what I'm
So
showing
that's
here.
t- so that's two of those. Then a HQ, that's bare minimum, and
Yeah.
then your paints and everything. So yeah, it is a lot.
Yeah, it's a little spooky.
Yeah, but
But
there are ways around it.
and that's just great. I'm glad they've addressed that because that was a concern of mine getting into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in other news, like I'd stated before, I got to dip my toes into a session zero, at least so far, of a Call of Cthulhu game, and that is just interesting how different yet similar that is
Yeah.
to other tabletop RPGs I've been playing. Where in, say, fifth edition Dungeons and Dragons, you're a hero.
Mhm.
You're going to go out and make an effect change in the world. You're going to make and more than likely be successful because the system is set up if you follow the
Yeah.
recommendations as far
Yeah.
as encounters and danger and that thing, that it's set up to make the players with a higher likelihood to survive.
Yeah.
Whereas it appears to me that through everything in Call of Cthulhu, that is not really the plan.
No, I've not never played it. I mean, I've read bits on it and
Sure.
read some of the books, but it seems really intriguing.
Well, basically, what I've come across so far is that it's all based upon percentile rolls.
Okay.
So, if you have any experience with role-playing games, guys, the this one is going to be based primarily on those two little 10-sided dice you've got, and we've rolled up stats that were varied between let's see, my character sheet. I've got it pulled up here, and his characteristics range from 32 up to I've got a 90 in intellect. So
Wow.
that's pretty high. I rolled like a 16 or a 17 to get that here. I can even share that with the group. And
All right.
so yeah, that basically what'll happen then is there will be situations where the keeper, they're called, not a dungeon master,
Mm-hmm.
will tell you, okay, you need to make an intellect check, and I'll roll my percentile die and try to get under 90 because that's my score.
Okay.
And I guess there's hard and impossible tasks as well, which is why you see those. There's also numbers next to that. So like with my intellect, it's 90, and then next to that
Yeah.
is 45, and then 18. And what that means is that the hard challenge would be 45 because it's half my intellect, and then 18, which is a half of a half.
All
So,
right.
so yeah, you could have different gradated levels of success and failure, and I like
That
that.
is interesting.
It also goes different on the hit point system. That I have 13 hit points on this character, and that was determined by an algorithm based upon different characteristics of my character already had, and just kind of predetermined. So I didn't roll for that. And basically, if you take half of your health in one attack, you get what's called a major wound. And that
Okay.
means you're down, you're injured, and we've got to deal with that narratively.
Okay. So
So,
that could be something like what? You've injured your arm, your hand, or
right, or some sort of eldritch horror has reached out and stabbed you or something, and it did excessive damage because of whatever.
ah. Okay.
And
So
then
what does the sanity bit do?
sanity's interesting. I was going to touch on that next. Is basically that is your level of mental well-being right now, and there's things in Call of Cthulhu that are it's because it's essentially a horror genre,
Yeah.
and it's designed in a way that so your normal Joe Schmo here. I'm playing Dr. Grant Dawson, an archaeologist. He's 58 years old. He's experienced some
Hmm.
things in his life. Now,
Okay.
so if you see, say, a dead body,
Yeah.
you're going to take a hit on your sanity. It might only be a point or two,
Yeah.
but you roll against your intellect to see if first you understand it. And so if you fail at your
Oh, okay.
intellect check, that's actually a good thing because your brain doesn't really comprehend what it was looking at. So maybe you'll
Ah,
only lose
okay.
a couple of points. But say you see a demon with a bunch of eyes on its forehead and a weird mouth on its hand, and your
Yeah.
brain's not set up or ready for that. So then you roll your intellect check and you succeed. Well, that means that you truly grasp what's going
Oh,
on and
the
what you're looking
magnitude of
at, the
it.
magnitude of the evil you're
Yeah.
staring at, which actually means you're going to have a larger sanity decrease.
Oh, cool.
And Marcus, our
Yeah.
keeper, has actually gone a little bit crazy in how deep he's willing to go with this. He found a 1920s Sears and Roebuck catalog.
Yeah.
That's what we're using to draw our gear from.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's funny, in the 1920s, Sears and Roebuck sold literally everything.
Yeah.
You can buy dogs, you can buy houses, you can buy cars, you can buy guns. It was, and it's crazy too. Like I bought this nice little 5-shot revolver, and it was $375. It
That's
just cost
cool.
nothing. But yeah, so the further craziness he's gotten is he has found time-specific death certificates and
Really?
certifications of what was it? Basically, a certificate that names you as an insane person. So if your sanity drops below
Uh,
1, your character is not dead, but they've gone insane,
yeah.
and you no longer have
So you're
control.
certified insane then?
Right, you're certified insane, and he will take your character sheet and give you a certificate deeming you as not
All right.
not
So
safe
you
to take care
you
of
sent off
yourself.
to an asylum.
Exactly.
Amazing. That is really
So
cool.
I'm really excited. This could be interesting because I like the idea of, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like fighting in role playing games as much
Yeah.
as the next guy, but the idea where this is almost designed to be 95% story and narration and role
Yeah.
play and
Yeah.
maybe 5% combat. That's pretty cool to
Yeah.
me.
I mean, I always like with the Lovecraft thing of these plane worlds that basically all this stuff is going on now as we're talking.
Right.
It's around us, but they can't come through and we can't come through. But when
Absolutely.
it does come through or we go through, that's when it gets mad.
Yep. Yep. Too
Yeah.
cool.
I think that's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I'm really
So if you
excited
keep
to
us
give
up
it
to
a
date
try.
with that,
Yeah, if we don't have it on the Test Tavern as a stream, I'll definitely be linking it. We're playing that with Josh James of Candles and Ponies, and it could very well be up on his channel as well. In which case, I will
okay.
post a blog post, and we'll have links getting people access to that because I think that's going to be real fun. It's a great group of guys.
Yeah, I think Marcus will do a really good job with that.
It's my first time playing under him as a GM or a keeper, so
Yeah,
I'm excited to see
yeah,
where he goes with things. So. Well,
great stuff.
guys, that's about all the time we have for this week's show. Come back and see us next week. We're actually going to have a guest on. Kevin Reynolds, an author, is going to be talking to us, and we're real excited to see him. So,
Very much so.
Andy, thanks for joining us today, man.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
And we'll talk to you all next week.